I think it's time to build something completely useless. For example, a small model engine that you run with your finger. While you push here on this lever, the thing spins. That's all. And because of this project is completely useless, I also, of course, try to find some useless materials. Like, for example, a small piece of a lawnmower. And I think this little gear can serve me as a flywheel. I think it's gonna give it a little bit an industrial look. So let's see if this one can work. And of course also a bottom plate, and here I have probably two studs to hold my shaft in place. And the shaft I have here, this used to be a printer and now it is useless. And a connecting rod, and I will need of course also some other things, but we'll see. Let's start with the flywheel. I don't see any set screw or pin or nothing. And the other side, for me, this gear and this shaft is one part. So I suppose to take it apart we need to use violence. Nope. My first idea was to cut out this shaft here and use my 6mm printer. But this shaft is fixed in place and is center, so I can as well use this one. But before I start adapting this thing, first I will check if I have bearings for it. All I could find in there were these two very small self-centering bearings. And if I want to use them in my little useless project here, I think it's gonna complicate the thing for not much. So without bearings it will be. And of course remind me that I need to buy a new mixer. Installing a dial indicator on the teeth of a gear is of course not easy, so I had to find some creative solution here to put a shim between, and I think it worked. I have now a difference of about 2/100ths of a millimeter, but I can get it better because the thing is moving. I still have to cut a little bit more, but this tool I'm using is gonna touch my center point, so this one not good. I would like to use this one, but same problem. So I think it's time to take some drastic measures. Three tenths to go. I drilled a test hole in the thing. So now let's do the test. After a bit of polishing, it will work. To finish my shaft here, both sides, I drilled a hole, a test hole in this little plate. It's the same plate that I'm gonna use to make the studs. And I took my 10mm drill bit and drilled the hole, and of course, as expected, the finish inside the bore is not good enough. And so I drilled a second hole, 9.5mm, and then gave it a touch of end mill. And the finish inside now is perfect. But of course I had to polish a lot more here to make it fit. Because the 10mm drill bit drilled a bit oversized and it worked perfectly fine. And the other hole is exactly 10mm. And now it works. I started working on the base plate. And I think this is also the right moment to check if the shaper still cuts parallel. Because I took this machine apart a few days ago and back together again. You never know, so this will be the test. The thing is not parallel. 58:11. (58:21). 1/10 of a millimeter difference between this side and this side. I think too much. I just finished cutting the two bigger surfaces. So let's take it out of here, clean it up a bit and over to the homemade surface plate. Looks good to me, but as always there is of course a problem. The thing is not square. This side isn't square and the other side isn't square either. So let's first check the shaper. I installed an indicator on the fixed dowel of course, and instead of moving up and down with the tool slide, I will move down with the table. I'm moving up. As you can see, the thing is square. I installed the indicator on the bigger surface. 0, 1/10 of a millimeter out of parallel. When I was checking the squareness of my vise here, which is now square. I see that I forgot to lock the table clamp here when I was cutting these surfaces. So it could well be that this was the problem, to have this difference of 1/10 over this length. But it doesn't explain why it isn't square. I will try to figure out later why this corner here is not square. And in the meanwhile, I will clamp my part directly on the table to do these two little sides here. To give this base plate a little bit a more romantic look, I will make a 45-degree chamfer. And I installed here a 45-degree tool that I adjusted with my 45-degree made in Vietnam by Kalim tool. A 2mm chamfer. Something wrong here. This side is touching almost a 0.5 millimeter and this side is barely touching, which means this thing is not square. As you can see, I also had to change the whole setup because the dovetail of the shaper here was touching this bolt. So I changed. Now I use the extended tool holder. Okay, let's take it out of here and have a closer look. Now I think it doesn't look too bad. The finish on this side here could be better, but all in all I think these 4 chamfers look more or less square, so that's good. I think it's time to make the next part, and that will be of course the 2 studs that's gonna hold the shaft in place and this push-on thingy here. And I think it will look more engine-ish if this is one part with a nice rounding here and then a bit rounded here and rounded here and rounded here, one part. Of course I need 2 of them and I have no idea how to do this, so let's figure something out. I think I found a solution. I made two plates, so because of these two sides, okay, and some paper aided design here. I already drilled the holes in both parts, so this will be more or less the idea. And I would like to cut it out, both parts together, and cut it all out in one go. I think it will be less work. But of course I have to hold it. So my plan is, if I put these two parts on a sacrificial piece that I have here, I can bolt both together with a T-nut here in the table, and of course the other T slot is not right under this hole, so I will bolt it in this part, and then the other side directly in the table, and then the other side of course clamped down just with a clamp. So first thing I need to do is to clean up this surface and to make it parallel with the underside. The thing is all set up and I'm ready to start cutting these two pieces out. But I think it will be for a next video, because today is that typical end of the week day again and this video has to come out. But before I go, first I would like to show you something. I received a box from Luke this week, and in this box there is a whole collection of measuring tools. There's this dial indicators, and there's also this nice blue little piece so you can take measurements behind corners. I think that's handy. There's some type made in Germany clamps, micrometers, three different. This one feels like new. It isn't new, but very nice tool. And there's also a Morse 3 taper revolving center point, so that's good. And two straight edges, a small one and an even smaller one, and two little squares. Now this one I think is really cute. So Luke, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And The problem is now, instead of making things, I'm gonna spend some more time measuring things.